What's up, fam? It's your boy G-Man, and welcome to the Superhero Brothers podcast. Guys, on today's episode, we are going to be breaking down the latest Shazam Fury of the Gods trailer. And guys, I have to say, after seeing this trailer, I'm actually excited for this film. Like, it had a great balance of seriousness. You had a little bit of lightheartedness, but not as much as kind of the first trailer. I felt like the first trailer made Shazam feel like a no-consequence hero. He hasn't really had to truly deal with anything. And as well, it almost felt like a little too childish. So I do like that DC took a little bit more of a serious tone with this trailer. Something else I also really appreciated is how DC decided to really dive into the mythological side, kind of this mystic verse of their universe. So you think of the Chimera, which is this fire-breathing winged creature. You have the unicorns. Of course, you have this like major bone dragon looking crazy thing. So really like that they're gearing to the fantasy and the mythological creatures aspect, which all of these creatures are magical, which ultimately ties into kind of Shazam and his powers. Another thing that I think is really cool and what I'm really intrigued by is how DC continues to build out Shazam's ancestors and kind of where this power came from. We know like this priest or whatever gave Billy his powers, but where did he truly get those powers from? We see in the trailer like the daughters of Atlas are like, oh, you stole these powers from our father's lifeless corpse. Obviously there's going to be two sides to the story, but like, what is the wizard's side of the story? Why did he end up taking these powers? Or from Atlas's perspective, what happened? Why did he have to die? Now, I will say the sisters, the daughters of Atlas, bro, they be bodying Shazam's family. Like literally every single one of them was getting absolutely torched, like losing the powers, getting beat up. Like I'm actually worried, like not a lot of that family's going to survive. Even Shazam himself, you saw I've been in the trailer, he's battered and bruised. His like the whole kind of like red costume you'll see is like almost fully gray now. And I don't know if that's him like turning to the dark side, which actually be kind of cool by him like embracing kind of the darkness of where those powers came from, or if it's just so battle damaged and the magic is losing its power as these sisters are sucking it away from his family and his own body. I will say Zachary Levi's costume looked a lot more dope in this one rather than the first film. The first film felt like it really was a puffed up costume. Now I know, of course, this costume still does probably have a little bit of aesthetics built into it, but I feel like this one he's really kind of grown into the body, or they made the costume like shape his body in a better way. Something I also wanted to highlight is that the older sister seems to have a more prominent role. We see her kind of like doing this magic thing where she's, I don't know if it's like foresight or like stopping time and being able to see like what happens in the future, but super, super intrigued to kind of see what is going to happen with that. Like I said, overall, I think this trailer is definitely great for the DC universe. Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword because I don't know, like we all know with James Gunn coming in, is this really going to be Shazam's finale because he ends up dying in this film because James Gunn wants to go into another direction? Or are they going to try to reintroduce Billy Batson and Shazam post the Flash movie when Billy's older or more mature? Maybe he's older but not as mature. Like I don't know how they're going to kind of go and redefine the Shazam backstory. I think Zachary Levi is he's an okay actor for the role. I think the kid's name, Arthur Ashe, I think he's perfect for Billy Batson, but would be super, super intrigued to see what James Gunn actually does with that. But guys, let me know your thoughts on this latest trailer, what you're excited about, what you're not excited about, and do you think Shazam actually makes it out of this movie alive? Because I'm not going to lie, after those last scenes, it was like, you know what you must do. I don't know if homie makes it out alive. But, and one last thing, I'm not going to lie, that shot where he's holding the staff and like shoots lightning or intakes light from his hand, absolutely sick. It was like, low-key him channeling Zeus and every single super cool superhero or supervillain that I've ever seen. But with that, fam, we're going to go ahead and dive into the Daily Bugle news and rumors. And guys, when I tell you some of the crazy stuff that has been coming out is absolutely mind-blowing, earth-shattering. It's going to break your heart for some of you, but you know, the Superhero Brothers are going to keep you in the know. So we're going to go ahead and start off with DC and then go ahead and transition to Marvel. So first, on the DC side, Titans and Doom Patrol have been canceled after these seasons. So that means after Titans Season 4 Part 2 releases, there will be no more Titans. That show has been canceled, as well as Doom Patrol after Season 4 had just wrapped up. That show will not be continuing anymore. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, that must be James Gunn. He must be already just wiping clean the slate on TV shows that we enjoyed, and we got to burn him to the stake. But this decision actually preceded him and Peter Safran coming on. Supposedly, this is what he had reached out and stated, that HBO Max and Warner Brothers Discovery had decided they were not going to continue these shows. However, rather than leave these shows on cliffhangers, they decided that they were going to go ahead and let the show writers finish out the show and kind of tie up all the loose ends, which I'm not gonna lie, I kind of respect, but it makes me sad, man. Like, you guys see, I'm already rocking the Superboy t-shirt. Like, I thought Joshua Orphan was doing a phenomenal job as Superboy, and we are really seeing him being able to develop that character as well. I think Brenton Thwaites is a phenomenal Dick Grayson and Nightwing, and I really wanted to see Gar or Beast Boy get more animals, like animal transformations on film. So hopefully, like season 4 part 2, that he gets to see those transformations. I am a little bit disappointed that we don't get to see more of him, and we'll see more of a comic accurate Raven. We saw a couple of screenshots where she's actually in kind of that white uniform, so super excited to see what happens at the end of season 4 part 2, but at the same time really disappointed because I thought it was a great show. Now granted, it had its ebbs and flows. You're like, ooh, that's kind of cringe. But, like, I feel like all shows do have that at some point. Doom Patrol I was not as sad about. I will say the main thing I was sad about for Doom Patrol is that I feel their Cyborg, who was played by Joivan Wade, I think he really embodied that role well and showed the struggle that Cyborg had. Now, granted, I don't necessarily agree with him having to, like, turn back human, and that kind of happened in season 3, season 4. But I do like him having to go through those struggles of like, oh, now I'm human. Now there's a lot of things I depended on that tech, and I was Cyborg. That's who his identity was. So I love kind of seeing that transition in that battle. And I think he really did a great job with the character. Now, if James Gunn wants to bring him into the movieverse, bro, I'm all for it. Like, consider this an ad for Joivan Wade. He needs to join the DCU in the movieverse. So James Gunn, if you're listening, Joivan Wade has my vote for Cyborg. So we got a crazy announcement. So Warner Brothers Discovery is putting on their own event, an MSG, to kind of showcase all of their upcoming content, including DC content. So maybe we could get some insights on the Blue Beetle, the upcoming Flash film, kind of maybe we'll get James Gunn's announcements there. Maybe we'll get those sooner. We don't know, but I do know that Warner Brothers is doing this in response to D23 and all of the attention that garners and that Marvel takes, and that they can really roll out their heroes and show that plan. So I'm excited that Warner Brothers is finally taking that step, like, hey, like, we need to kind of copy some of the stuff that Marvel's done, because there's a reason they're successful. Like, they need to be unique in their own way, but from an execution standpoint on like, hey, this is how we're going to preview content, I think they could easily take from Marvel's blueprint and no one would be sad in the slightest. But with that being said, James Gunn did say there's some major characters that won't be revealed, or the major character recasting. So think Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman. I don't know if Green Lantern, because that's always up in the air. Hawkman, like all of those kind of characters, he said those may not be announced till 2024, and I guess they're still in the casting process, or maybe they're still like working through contracts so that maybe like Gal Gadot doesn't leave the universe, or Aquaman, how they transition out of that. And we all know Jason Momoa wants to play Lobo, and I think that's kind of the direction they're going. I think it's kind of a loss for him because he's going from a iconic hero to like, yeah, Lobo's a great villain, and he embodies that role well, and it means Jason Momoa has to do less acting, but I feel like the span of impact he could have is a lot smaller with Lobo. Also, guys, we just got an announcement that the Flash trailer will be dropping on Super Bowl Sunday. So for those of you who do not watch the Super Bowl, that is Sunday, February 12th. I am super excited to see kind of where they take this movie, because honestly, I didn't have a lot of trust, and I still don't really have a lot of trust in Ezra Miller, but supposedly this movie has gotten high reviews already, so I'm very intrigued to see like what the premise is. Do we get a sneak peek at Dark Flash? We do know that some of his armor is made of some kryptonite material. So I feel like James Gunn is still pulling from the Snyderverse, but also trying to make his own universe. And maybe the Flash film serves as the catalyst to kind of reset this whole universe. But with that, fam, we're going to go ahead and transition into Marvel. And we got some updates on Captain America 4 New World Order. There will be a new villain, Diamondback. So I know some of you guys know Diamondback from the Luke Cage show. However, this is a totally different Diamondback. This will be a woman who is a part of the Serpent Society, which is kind of, I'd say, like a smaller version. I'd say similar to Hydra in a sense in terms of goals, but they're like snake focused. So very, very much intrigued to see how who they cast for this role and how this character challenges really Sam Wilson and Bucky, and as they kind of like try to fight Thunderbolt Ross and kind of like really setting up Phase 5 or like going through Phase 5. I'm really excited to see kind of how Diamondback fits in and whether that now leads us to have a larger Serpent Society. So then you could have Hydra, you could have the Serpent Society, you have AIM come back. So there's so many possibilities for organizations that can rise and fall for Marvels, and I'm super excited for that. Also, Chloe Bennett, which for those of you who watched the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, she was Quake, has hinted that she will be coming back in Marvel's Secret Invasion. So this could relaunch a whole new Inhumans, X-Men. Like, I am super stoked for her to come back and reprise her role. Granted, I didn't think she was as strong in the initial seasons, but as the show went on, I came to appreciate her character more and her acting prowess. So I'm super excited to see what she brings to the MCU, whether it's from the Secret Invasion or maybe it's a Secret Wars perspective where she's a cameo. Very, very excited to see how Marvel incorporates her and where they take it. Also, in line with cameos, Tobey Maguire has said, and actually multiple interviews, if Marvel comes back and asks him, does he want to do a Spider-Man thing, he is super open to it, which I'm super excited because I feel like we could get like an older, more grizzled Peter Parker. Not when I say grizzled, it doesn't mean like he's like super depressed, but he's like gone through life. He's like a real older, he's seen all kind of like the issues. And I would love to see kind of what path or what earth they would have him from and what he's had to face. Or could he come back in Secret Wars and have more funny moments with him, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland? I think that would be a phenomenal win. He just brings a certain aspect to the character. I mean, for me, he was my first Spider-Man. Like, when Spider-Man 1 came out in like 2002, 2003, like that's who I associate with Spider-Man. So for me, that news is super awesome. But with that, also with more, Easter eggs, sneak peeks, post-credits, with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania coming out February 17th. We've got rumors and insight that the post-credit trailer will be tied to Loki Season 2, which I'm super excited for. Would love to see kind of where they're going to pick up with that show, because we know at the last scene of Loki Season 2, that's where we got the glimpse of the statue of Kang the Conqueror. But now it's like, okay, how did he make that happen? Like, what did he do to the TVA? How does that impact Loki and what he does? How does Loki try to get out of it? Or how did he try to save himself or save Morbius? So very, very intrigued to see what they do with that. And also, just Kang in general. I know I've been super hyped, and you guys probably are like, Najee, why do you like villains so much? I'm like, I don't know. They just have such better archetypes to me. And I'd like to see the hero challenge. And I feel like Kang as the big bad and Phase 5 of Marvel will do wonders. I think they kind of had a slow period with Phase 4 trying to, redevelop characters, and some of the shows were hits, some of the shows were misses, depending on what characters you liked and what style you liked. But I think Phase 5 is really going to get us back to the action and great storylines and really hook everyone back into, okay, this is Phase 5. We're building to like an Infinity War Endgame level event. And last thing on the Marvel docket, we did get an update that Marvel's Thunderbolts will kind of be a sequel to the Black Widow film. It will kind of follow it in a way. It's not going to be a direct sequel, if you will, but very excited again for that film and how that follows the new Black Widow, Bucky Barnes, Red Guardian, and Ghost, and kind of all of those characters. So super, super stoked to see all the things to come on the Marvel side as well as the DC side. Fam, let me know in the comments what you think about all the DC news being shared, those shows being canceled, whether you agree with it or not. How excited are you for the Flash trailer as well? When it comes to Marvel, do you think that post-credit scene will be accurate? How often do you want Tobey Maguire coming back, making teasers or cameos, as well as what are you excited for with Kang and Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania? But with that, fam, we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to give us a 5-star rating. Not only does this help keep us consistent, but ensures that we are creating content that you guys enjoy. Guys, we are on all podcasting platforms, so Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere there's a podcast, Superhero Brothers are at. Keeping you guys in the know as well. Be sure to follow our social media channels where you can see clips from the podcast, workouts as well. We will be hosting giveaways soon, so you definitely don't want to miss out on that. But with all that being said, it's your boy G-Man, and you have been listening to the Superhero Brothers.